Hey guys, what is up? Domino here. I'm gonna do a really quick review because I just finished Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City for the Xbox 360, and I wanted to kind of talk about my quick thoughts about it, my little mini review, some of the things I liked, some of the things I didn't like, and kind of discuss some of the crazy hate that this game has been getting by pretty much everyone. Uh, pretty much everyone I've talked to just panned this game across the board. And I don't really understand where that's coming from. A lot of the complaints that are being made are I didn't experience while playing the game, but I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that later. Okay, so let's say, just for hypothetical here, you have never played Operation Raccoon City. You've never played a Resident Evil game. What is Operation Raccoon City? Well, Operation Raccoon City puts you in a team of umbrella operatives. I guess I would say operatives, but they're more like commandos, special forces, whatever, who are tasked with destroying any incriminating evidence from Umbrella during the second game. This kind of, if we were going to make a timeline, this would be during the events of the second game, which I did not play, by the way. I was told this, so if I'm wrong, please correct me. Uh, yeah, you're a group of special, just badasses with guns and infrared goggles and stuff, and you're going in to get rid of any of the survivors and accomplish all these objectives. And basically, the game is a tactical third-person shooter. I think is the word for it. It is not really a survival horror game at all. And I think that is why people got really upset with this game. I think that honestly, I think a lot of people bought this game, they pre-ordered the game, and they were expecting Resident Evil 6 or whatever the latest one is they announced. They were expecting Resident Evil 6, and when they didn't get it, they got really mad, they got really upset, they got on the internet and wrote bad reviews. Okay, well, if you take this game for what it is, it's actually not that bad at all. It's much in the vein of Left 4 Dead. In fact, it takes several nods from Left 4 Dead, just in the way it's set up and in the way you go through the levels. But I'm going to talk about that later. First, I'm going to go over the positives, the things that I liked about this game, and there are basically three of them. First off, it's very intense. The game is very intense and crowded, and you constantly have to be checking around you because it's so easy to get stuff sneaking up on you. It's so easy to get in a situation where you're fighting and zombies just come up behind you or whatever. This is a very intense game. It's intense in the sense that you need to be ready to be running because it's very easy to get swarmed. It is just like Left 4 Dead. If you've ever played Left 4 Dead, it's extremely easy to get swarmed and just killed. The game is very forgiving in the health department. It takes a while for zombies to actually latch onto you and infect you. So you have some leeway to kind of evade around them, and you can get hit with them and scratched a couple times, and you won't be infected. But I'll talk about the infection thing in a bit, and I actually think that's one of the positives of this game. But uh, the zombie variety is also really good, and it's much like Left 4 Dead in the sense that you have some slow zombies, you have which are usually a lot of them. You have some really fast Crimson Head zombies, which are kind of just like angry zombies. If I had to describe what a Crimson Head is, it's basically a zombie that is just running or bolting around, much like a Left 4 Dead infected. And you've got lickers, and you've got little reptilian-looking things. They call them BOWs. I think they're like biological whatevers, weapons, something like that. You've got tyrants. You've got nemesis. You've got all kinds of variety of zombies. So it doesn't get dull in that department. And in a lot of ways, the zombies are sort of just kind of an obstacle in your way. The game is really set up so that you're accomplishing objectives like take out the other spec ops team, or take out these mercenaries that are guarding the facility, and the zombies are kind of just in your way. Like the zombies are just kind of preventing, getting in the way, adding an extra element of something might attack me and kill me, and so you have to take that, you have to factor that in. And that's kind of where the zombies come in. There are a couple levels where it's clearly all about the zombies. They just throw hordes and hordes of zombies in your face, and you're just supposed to kind of pop away at them. And luckily, it kind of mixes it up a little bit along the story, but that's about it. And I'll start talking about the negatives. What I thought were the bad elements of this game. And the first one is probably just I would say that I know I said that the intensity of this game was a positive, but it also becomes a negative in this game, and that's because it is so crowded. A lot of times things just get so crowded and crazy, and there's zombies everywhere and explosions going off, and the frame rate takes a dive. Okay, the Xbox 360 does not handle all this crap very well. And unfortunately, there were several times while I was playing that I got stuttering. My frame rate visibly dropped with tons of enemies on the screen. There's so many enemies on the screen that it's really hard to, I guess, keep the frame rate high on the Xbox 360. And in a lot of ways, I think the Xbox is really starting to show its age in that sense, and it becomes hard to aim at things. You guys know what a low frame rate does to a game. It's hard to aim at things. It's hard to maneuver around. It's hard to really do anything, and that happened maybe 2 or 3 times in the playthrough that I did, and I kind of was disappointed. Even installing the game to the hard drive didn't really help either. There's just with that much stuff going on, there's just a problem. And for whatever reason, smoke, any kind of flash or a lot amount of smoke would really drop the frame rate in this game. I think it's just the fact that they use they use the Resident Evil 4 and 5 engine. I'm pretty sure it was a similar engine, because all the enemies act and react the same way. As it felt very much like Resident Evil 5, in the way that enemies kind of dissolve into little puddles when they die, and the kind of quick when you shoot something with a shotgun, it kind of like they zip around and stuff. It's clear they use the Resident Evil engine, and that's why it feels like Resident Evil. And that's kind of the thing I wanted to address with a lot of the complaints that people are making. They go, "This doesn't feel like Resident Evil, and this doesn't feel like blah 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 blah." Well, I'm not a Resident Evil fanboy. I haven't played a whole bunch of them, and I haven't been a huge fan of them. Specifically, just because of the controls. Resident Evil has always been about driving a tank. Controlling your character is more like driving a tank or a car than actually playing like over the shoulder, really fast, whatever. And in this way, in Resident Evil Orc, they really change all that. It's really fast paced. It's really easy to lock onto things. It's really easy to maneuver around. You're never in a situation where you're trying to jerk around and you can't quite, control your character, and your controls are slow and whatever. No, it's really tight and responsive. For any average third-person game I've played, the only one I could think of is Kane and Lynch 2, which is very similar, just in the way it handled, and the way it's easy to bring your gun up from and lock onto things. And every time you, I think, hit left trigger or something, you automatically lock on to whatever your enemy is. So it's pretty easy to take things out and do what you got to do. One of the other negatives that I thought was the voice acting. The voice acting is just kind of bad, and I realize this is kind of a nitpick, but the voice acting and the cinematics are just really, really bad. Like, uh, the some of the voices are okay. Like the guy that's the command center who you're talking to and get your missions from. He narrates pretty well, but all the other characters have pretty non-distinct Russian accents, and they kind of spout these lines like throughout the while you're playing the game. They'll always spout these games. There are a whole lot of sound effects that they've introduced to kind of create the illusion of intensity. Like people will shout "reloading," but it sounds fake. It sounds forced. It doesn't sound like a battlefield, which is I assume what they were trying to do when they did all that stuff. Like I said, not all that great, but it doesn't really matter. Some of the dialogue is kind of awkward too. Some of the conversations just it feels like it was translated from Japanese, and it probably was, but whatever. That that's a complaint that you could have with any game. Um, I mentioned that it was just too crowded. The frame rate really got low in critical parts of the game. Um, it's a disjointed game, and what I mean by disjointed is that it handles like Left 4 Dead. You're playing levels. Like when you started Resident Evil 5 or you start any kind of game, you go from you're playing and then you go from level to level to level. Or not, they're not really levels, but they're just areas. You're moving from one area to the next. With this, you're literally playing. You're just playing a level. Like the campaign is divided into 8 levels, 7 or 8 levels. I don't remember. But each level is about 30 to 40 minutes or something like that. Um, it feels disjointed this way, and it didn't really feel like the campaign was very fluid. I didn't like how it transitioned into from level to level. It really broke up the story. It kind of broke up the way that you it kind of broke up the way that you digested the story. So in a lot of ways, the story feels a little disconnected, and because there's a huge loading screen and you're brought out of the action uh, after every level, and you get a score sheet, kind of like Doom. You know, when you finish a level of Doom and it tells you how many enemies you killed and tells you how many bullets you used and well, this is kind of what this game does. It has an XP system, like an experience system, and when you finish a level, it's kind of like a multiplayer match. When you're done, you get a score screen and it goes through all this crap, and you can tweak your loadout and stuff, and yeah, it's great and fun and all, but it doesn't really suit itself for a campaign like a single player environment. You know, if I was playing multiplayer, then that's great, but in this way, it really disjointed the game, disjointed the storytelling, and just wasn't good. I thought. I think they really needed to change that up. They needed to make like an in-game system for changing your loadout or whatever. Uh, kind of like that, something like that. But my other complaint with this game is that it just doesn't. I don't know how to describe. I don't know how to describe this really, but it doesn't. It feels like they reuse enemies. It feels like they reuse scenarios, and they're really they tried to be really epic with a lot of the boss fights in this, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work because for one, your guns are so ineffective. Every weapon that you have in this game is just so ineffective, and you're not given enough ammo. It feels a lot like Dead Island in the sense that your weapons are completely useless later on in the game. You're just unloading clip after clip after clip into things, and if you're unfortunate enough to not be in between an ammo reloading area, that they drop crates of ammo all over the place, and they kind of try and keep you always loaded up. But it didn't work for me. I was out of ammo for a good portion of the game, uh, using my pistol, plinking at zombies and whatnot. And later on in the game, it just doesn't work because you're just unloading clip after clip after clip into stuff, and it just doesn't die. Nothing dies. The common zombies are die fairly easily, but you're gonna run out of ammo so quickly. You're given like 200 bullets, if that, like 150. Excuse me, 150 or 200 bullets in your stockpile. I think that's with the assault rifle, and you basically you're running out of bullets after the first encounter, and a lot of people would say, "Oh, well, you need to aim better, you need to focus better." It doesn't work that way. You literally have to just unload clip after clip after clip into everything that comes your way, and it's just it feels like they underpowered all the guns. All the guns don't feel very powerful. I ended up using a shotgun only because the shotgun is able to pretty much kill most of the common zombies in one hit. Um, so the shotgun was probably my most used gun in the whole game, and the just the way that it shot one shot, it kind of made you manage your ammo a little better. With the assault rifles and stuff, you run out of ammo all the time because you're not always making headshots, and you're not always this and that and this and that. So that complaint by the reviewers was accurate. That was an accurate complaint. However, a lot of the reviewers I saw, IGN and Game Informer, they complained about how buggy the game is. The game is so buggy, blah 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 blah. I didn't experience any buggy AI. I didn't experience any quirks like that, except for two times. And the first time was a licker, I think it was, who basically got stuck in the elevator level. There's a level where you're on an elevator and you're going down, and it's much like Half-Life in the way that the critters are jumping down on top of you, and you basically have to shoot these lickers as they jump in. And he got stuck for whatever reason. The critter got stuck, and he was just in the corner, kind of blah 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 blah. And the second time was a zombie that spawned inside of a car. And he wasn't inside of a car. His player model was literally intersected into a car, and he couldn't move, and nobody could shoot at him. And he was just kind of there, just kind of spinning around, not really spinning, but trying to get out, and it was kind of awkward. But other than that, I didn't see any buggy AI. I didn't see any monsters that wouldn't attack me. I didn't experience any of that at all. And I wonder if a lot of these review sites played a beta of the game, or they played an alpha release or something. But this is not the experience that I had at all. I played through this game start to finish, and did not experience any bugginess or anything at all. It played just like a game, played just like any other shooter game, and I had no issues. Like I said, you may occasionally get a monster that gets stuck in something, and you just pop him. It's done. You're done. Um, so I don't understand what all that hate is. The hate that was brought on this game, and I realize I'm ranting way too long now, but um, people just hate on this game right out of the gate, and I don't understand where all that hate is. It's not an unfun game. Um, it's not bad. It's not badly written. It's not badly programmed. Um, the cutscenes are pretty awful. The dialogue is pretty awkward and weird, but that's with any Japanese game. I mean, come on, guys. Any Japanese game, you could have these complaints. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know why everybody is rating this game so low. It is a very short game. That's a complaint that a lot of people had. It was very short, and this is a short game. The campaign is a short game, and this game kind of treats itself like Modern Warfare or some other game. You're really meant to be playing online in the multiplayer. Okay, the campaign is not really the prime focus of this game. If you're just buying this game to for the story and all that, you're gonna be disappointed. And I think a lot of people felt that way. They bought this game. They thought that they were going to get an epic Resident Evil story here, and that's not the point. You're missing the point. The point is that this is a game that you're going to play multiplayer on. The campaign is really to just train you how to get on the multiplayer servers and do your thing. That's really the point. And a lot of people, I think they get this disconnect. They think, oh, it's Resident Evil. It's gonna be epic story. There's gonna be it's survival horror. It's gonna be atmospheric. There is no survival horror here really, because you're a guy with a freaking machine gun. You're a group of guys and gals with the machine guns and flamethrowers and rocket launchers and grenades, and you're tactically inserting yourself into these situations and fighting spec ops. So in a lot of ways, it's more like a war game than an actual survival horror. Although there are some horror elements in the way that the zombies will burst out of when you open a door. You open a door and a zombie bursts out and grapples you. So in a lot of ways, that kind of was atmospheric. I thought that was a nice touch. Um, it's clear that the makers didn't forget that they were making a horror game here in the midst of all this gunfire and what have you. Um, another issue that a lot of people have with this game is that there are a bunch of DLCs apparently on the disc. Um, I don't know if they're actually on the disc. I've heard this as a rumor, but this is something that Capcom and a lot of the games industry has been doing for a while, and they've been making a game, then kind of divvying it up like a pizza and locking down a couple of the slices so that you have to pay and calling it a DLC, and then later on down the road you pay however many Microsoft points, and then you get to play the content that's already on the disc. And I think that made a lot of people upset. It feels cheap. It feels cheap. It feels sleazy for a company to do that. Um, it goes against pretty much everything that a DLC is supposed to be. And unfortunately, and I'm going to get on a rant about this if I don't slow myself down here, but DLC is just a form of microtransactions. Microtransactions are everything now. There are every game company is on board with this. They know that it's a moneymaker. Excuse me. They know that it's a moneymaker. Uh, they know that they can sell trinkets, extras, add-ons, bullshit that people will pay money for after the game's released. So it's kind of like milking the same cow after you've already milked it. So anything that lets developers do that, they're gonna do it. So I don't really hate them for it, but like I said, if it's true, if it does turn out to be true, then it's pretty sleazy. And I know they're releasing some free DLC and then a couple other DLC add-ons. It's great. I probably won't buy them. Simply for the fact that you are playing this game for the multiplayer, really. A lot of people miss the point of this, I think. It's not really a single-player game. It's not really a game that you buy for the story, and if you are buying it for the story, you're going to be disappointed because the story is pretty shallow. It's shallow in the sense that you're just a couple Raccoon City Special Forces people doing objectives. It's like, okay, go to the police commissioner's office and go burn some files, or go destroy the power grid and shut the power down so nobody can email about the outbreak. That's all it is. and there's no real story beyond that. The characters are not really developed. They have these little one-liners that they say all throughout, and that's the point. That's really the point. There's nothing deeper than that. There really is nothing deeper than that, and people that are looking for something deeper than that are going to be disappointed, and they're going to say, "Oh, this game is Resident Evil," and blah 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 blah. And these guys should have waited for Resident Evil 6, is what happened. These reviewers thought that they were playing Resident Evil 6, and they weren't. This is basically just a cash in on the series. Uh, it's a tactical zombie game, just like Left 4 Dead, exactly like Left 4 Dead. Um, and that's all. It's using the engine, the Resident Evil 4 and 5 engine. So if you like that whole thing and you like getting on with your bud and your buddies and just blowing zombies away, then you're gonna love this game. That's all there is to it. And I like the game. I didn't have any problem with it. It's the campaign isn't compelling enough for me to want to play it again, but yeah, I could see jumping on this game for a quick match every now and then. This game is not bad. There's nothing bad about this game. This is why I'm getting this disconnect here. When I read all these reviews by IGN and all these mainstream gaming companies, it just slammed this game right out of the gate. And I gotta say I disagree. But anyway, this has gone on way too long. If you actually listen to the whole thing of this, thank you for being awesome. But please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of Resident Evil Raccoon City, and let me know what you think about some of the complaints that these mainstream gaming companies have had with this game. But anyway, thank you for listening, thank you for being subscribed, and I do have some more gameplay videos coming up soon. I'm actually working on an intro for my videos, and that's why things are kind of slowed up. But thank you again.